Okay, thank you everyone. Hope you got very good learning from the Bharat. And now our next speaker is Robin Gupta. He's a co-founder of the TestZeus. He is having 16 years of experience in software industry. He successfully led teams in engineering and the QA. He worked many companies like Provar, Athena Health, and the Accenture. He is an active member of the Selenium and Salesforce community. Let's welcome Robin. Over to
Thank
you.
you. Thanks, Sachin. Okay, I don't think I need the mic. People at the back can hear
We
me.
are recording.
Recording as well. Okay. No, no, okay. We'll try. Okay, like this feels like this, DJ at the party. But okay. First of all, guys, a little late. So apologies for that. Bangalore traffic is not to be blamed unnecessarily. This is all my fault. Okay. Okay. Cool. I think everybody can see the screen and all, right? It's all sorted. Yeah. So let's get going. So my name is Robin. I think Sachin gave a fair bit of introduction. So today we'll talk about using open source agents for software testing, right? I think we just discussed that testing or test automation has taken this flavor where automation tools have become the key of testing. Sadly, we will not talk about any of that today. Okay. Um, Boring bits about me, whatever Sachin told, similar story. So we'll skip that. Okay. And give me 1 second. Let me refresh Slido. But there's a question, right? What's the key outcome you are expecting from this session? So that, is it coming up as Slido? No? Coming? Come on, Slido. Yeah, we should cheer for Slido. But okay, please scan this. Please answer this very simple question so that, we can modulate the session around it. I don't want to make it boring and, just go on with slides and everybody then hates me at the end. Very simple question. What's the key outcome you are expecting? Apart from chocolates, learn about AI systems and agents, use AI systems for vertical scenarios. So I just saw agents and it's like click the button and then I'm here finally. Okay. So we'll see hopefully some numbers popping up if we don't have bugs in Slido. Yes, could be domain, could be app based. Okay, we have some answers. 9, 10 people. I think there are around 40 people in the room right now. Okay. 23. So, okay, most of the people want to learn. Few people want to use AI. Few people saw agents and yeah, okay. We see agents, we click buttons. Yeah. Agents also do the same thing. They see buttons and they click it. But okay. Also, just a quick, note. This agent is not, like um, Gupta agents outside selling loans or houses. This is AI agents, right? So, okay, just to be very, very clear. Cool. So 39 people. Still some people deciding. Use, don't use, question marks. Okay, 42 people. Cool. Super. So I think the intent is to learn, right? So we'll then focus more on the learning parts. The usage parts, we'll expose some libraries and frameworks. Open source projects, that's the homework. Today is Saturday, use it. Then there is Sunday, use it again, get questions. Monday, ping me on Slack, okay? How do we get your Slack, Robin? It's at the end, don't worry. Okay. So first and foremost, right, there's a small GIF playing, but we'll do a real one. In India, they promise us that, you can have Maggie in 2 minutes. And the premise that I want to show is how can you actually build an app in 3 minutes or so if I can get these buttons of Zoom off my screen somehow. Okay. So today we'll use bolt.run, bolt.new, right? So see, bolt.new is a multi-agentic system for developing apps. So you put in a prompt and then it creates the app from scratch, right? So today we will build an app like Salesforce, right? So Salesforce is a 10-year-old company. They took 10 years to develop this. We will do this in 5 minutes. Okay, I'm just kidding. So Salesforce actually does a whole lot of things. See, as we can see over here, what bold.new does is it actually first creates a plan. of what it needs to do, just like how a developer or an engineer would do, right? Once it takes that plan, it identifies the key elements it needs to create, the files, the structure, the dependencies, and everything. At the same time, that agentic swarm then goes ahead and then starts executing that plan line by line. What that means is it will start creating those files, start populating the code. Um, for folks online, I'm not typing any of this. This was not planned. This is bold.new. And also, we're not endorsing the product. See, the idea is that what used to take a developer or an engineer maybe 2 weeks or one sprint can be achieved in 3 minutes on a conference when the speaker is late. Okay. So it has done all of those things. It has chosen TypeScript as the preferred language today. It could do Python or others as well. Font. Okay. I'll try. Just try to pull out the website name. Okay. Website name is bold.new, not endorsing the product. Okay. I think, is this a little better? Yeah, yeah, please, JP. Yes, it's JP. Yes. Uh, can, yes. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Right. See, we can definitely use it. It uses tokens. There are paid plans and all. You can also deploy it on Stack Blitz. There are other players. So this is just one example. There's one more example from Vercel. It's called v0.dev. So these are called the prompt to app, P2A kind of applications. You put in the prompt. I wrote a very crappy prompt. You can do a better one, and then it builds out that whole application. Right. Also, as things happen in live demos, things don't work. There's a problem. But jokes aside, see, it can also then, it found a bug somewhere. It will try to attempt to fix for that bug, right? So it is trying to support the developer for that whole end-to-end execution and flow, okay? The idea is that while it can be done by hand, all of these files are actually generated. They were not rendered. They were not templatized. They were just part of the training data, right? So okay, it will do its thing. We can come back to it. As promised, neither does Maggie get created in 2 minutes, nor do apps get created in 3 minutes. Okay. So cool. See, the idea was that you give it a small prompt and then it creates a plan around it. That's what a multi-agentic swarm does. And then it goes about and it starts executing that plan, right? We'll return back to that and we'll see if bold.new has done our work or not. Okay. See, that was just one example. This is another example from Salesforce. So they launched something called the generative canvas earlier this year. This will go GA in 2026. The scenario is that the sales rep is on a call with some prospect and it's asking a news about that prospect. Now the system creates a plan around it, and to give that news, it actually first creates that plan that, okay, I need to understand the customer data insights or whatever. And then it actually renders a small component. It generates that on the fly and then fills it with the news, right? So take a deep breath, fellow quality engineers, because in one example, we saw the velocity of development. The second example we are seeing is the volume of development. If we do A cross B, this is exponentially much more harder and exponentially much more complicated to solve in a 2-week sprint. See, earlier, for example, when we got requirements, it was generally, mini waterfall. 1 week development, second week, Tuesday, we'll get a build. By Friday, you have to do some magic, right? With bold.new or these systems, that has reduced to 1 day. Who's testing it? Interestingly, us, right? So many, many more cycles is what we want to highlight here. Okay, so that brings us to this question. Don't we need an end-to-end testing agent? See, first and foremost, an agent, like there are many academic definitions. Here, we'll keep it very simple. It is actually autonomous. So it performs an end-to-end testing function, right? What is the testing function? What do testers do? Create test cases, run them, analyze results. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. Testers also work very closely with the business, act as the bridge to the delivery team. Also, testers, a lot of times, do the RC of production bugs and issues. When there is a service ticket raised, then they analyze it, condense the data inside it, and then pass it on as a bug on the Jira or backlog, right? So that is one part of the function. To enable the delivery of that function, it should have platform and domain specific knowledge. A lot of people have asked me that, oh, ChatGPT is also a tester. I'm like, dude, ChatGPT has no clues about your app or your domain. Please don't give your job to ChatGPT. The other is it can use tools. such as browsers, databases, or in the case of bold.new, IDEs. So even an IDE is a tool for that agent to achieve that goal, right? So that is a very high level definition of what an agent is. All of that might sound a little too dreamy, but see, interestingly, this year, we've seen major breakthroughs in compute time inference or synthetic intelligence. I'll avoid the word artificial intelligence, it's a little debated. The idea was that this gentleman actually tweeted that OpenAI's O1 has a major big breakthrough on the IQ test. As we can see on the graph, so until 90, a lot of those players are there. Average human IQ is around 100. Mine, I think, would be around 90. And O1 actually has a lot further. It is around 120, right? See, the idea which we are trying to highlight over here is that ChatGPT was just the first hit. This is getting further and further deeper, getting a whole lot smarter. Every day you scroll on Twitter, some AI agent somewhere is being trained, right? Stop scrolling. Okay, so there is this famous thing from YC, they say show, don't tell. So today we will look at a testing agent, okay? Um, okay, so as part of this, we will first look at a test case, and then we'll try executing it. So the test case that we'll try executing using the testing agent, which is from TestZeus Hercules, even you can try it. You go to testzeus.com/Hercules, you'll find it. You'll find the coordinates on the slides also. The test case itself is very simple. It's written in Gherkin type format. Why I'm saying Gherkin type is because a lot of people highlighted that Gherkin has this, I do this, and then, it is very, very detailed. I click on this button, then I do this, then I do this. It's like 50 lines long. If you look at this, we are trying to search for a certain jacket on Wrangler website, but this is slightly more abstract. So we are trying to give the testing goal to the testing agent, okay? So the agent that we are looking at will be for test execution. This is not test designing or reporting. We will only look at the test execution agent, right? So we pass on this as the target test scenario for that agent. It will first go ahead and break this into multiple steps, just like how we saw bold.new breaking the intent into multiple steps. Then it will create code for that step on the fly. It will go ahead and execute that code using Playwright and then give us the results. So that is the demo that we'll see today. Also, this is just a high level. You can also put in test data, or you can put in other details as well. Okay, to run this agent, you can do a couple of things. What we are doing is we are just going to the right directories, ensuring that we have a Python environment set up. Once we have that, we get to the latest installed upgrade of TestZeus Hercules, which is open source, so you can also try it. We're doing headless and telemetry as false, and then just ensuring that we have the right test feature file as the input, the location for the output, and your OpenAI LLM key. So once we have that, if we go to the terminal, we can actually try to run it. Okay, so we just run that shell command with all those steps, which does the setup, takes in that feature file, creates a plan, creates the code for each of the steps on the plan, and then execute it step by step. At the end, infers the result. So against, as opposed to standard Gherkin, where you have a framework, you have glue code, none of that is written over here. It generates that on the fly. Also, as opposed to standard Gherkin implementations, BDD Cucumber implementations, generally people look for the then statement and that is the test result. But the agent here is actually inferring the result. So it takes the intent out of the test case. Okay, I should find a jacket. There should be only one jacket. And then at the end, it reconciles all its findings and says, oh yeah, okay. As a good tester, I found one jacket, so the test case is passed. Okay, so it actually ran, but there are a few things which I wanted to show. So first and foremost, as a good tester, did the test case pass or not? So okay, the assert was true, so the test case passed. The other thing is that this agent is actually made up of multiple agents inside. So for example, Hercules inside has a planner agent. So that creates that whole plan. Once it creates that plan, it then gives it to other mini agents inside it. So for example, I'm just trying to find the browser agent. Okay, so browser navigation agent is the other one inside Hercules, right? So think of it in this way. in our head, when we think of the input thoughts, we break those thoughts into smaller pieces, and then some parts of the brain start executing those pieces, right? In the same way, Hercules has multiple agents inside it. When you give it a test intent, the planner agent breaks it down into the plan, and then agents like the browser nav agent go ahead and execute that plan. Can it do API testing, or how do you do about APIs? Yes. So it has an API agent. Can it do other kind of things? Yes. We can attach tools to it. So then it can use those tools. Okay. So that being said, I'll quickly go back to the presentation somewhere. Okay, not this guy. Um, okay. Yes. Okay. So that was a very quick demo of TestZeus Hercules. You guys can also try it. You can find it on testzeus.com. It's all open source. Feel free to raise a PR. But that is how it functions. That's a very simplified diagram. A much more detailed diagram is there on the GitHub repo. The idea is that for Salesforce Web Technologies, it has the domain specific knowledge of that platform. You can provide general English steps, Gherkin, test data, and you can also provide an open API spec. Just provide it to Hercules. It uses tools such as Chrome or APIs or databases to go ahead and execute that test plan and then gives you the results. So there is no coding, no maintenance, and hopefully no cost because it's all open source. Okay. To bring it to a conclusion, right? See, the idea is that we are seeing this progression from tools all the way to humans, right? There's a reason why there's a speedometer in the middle. We'll get to it in a minute. The idea is that for a tool such as a hammer, right? If you think about the level of autonomy, you give it a task and it does it on its own. Autonomy and agency are near zero. With humans, definitely me and you, pretty high autonomy. For solutions like co-pilots, you have to press tab for every line of code. So the autonomy a little bit, it can write that small function, right? Agents like TestZeus, Hercules actually have much more autonomy. So the idea is we go from no autonomy to a whole lot of autonomy, right? Second thing is, can a tool use another tool? No. Can a GitHub Copilot use another tool? No. It can use IDE as just that one tool. Agents can use a whole lot of tools. Humans can use all of these, right? The third and the most important bit is actually around guardrails. See, a tool doesn't know if it has to hit if it has to hit your thumb or the nail on the wall. The co-pilot might know a little bit. It asks you, should I complete this function? The agent, a little bit more guardrails are needed. And humans, for example, for us, ethical bias and civic sense are some of the guardrails that are taught to us as part of the upbringing, right? Why I highlighted the part on guardrail is because when we were implementing TestZeus Hercules, we felt that we should give it all the REST API tools, get, put, post, patch, update, and delete. What we found was that in some cases, since we had not fine-tuned the prompt initially, it started using the delete call to check the inventory. So it started creating a plan, deleted that entire thing, and then said, yeah, okay, things are deleted from the cart, while it had deleted something on the inventory itself, right? So then the idea is that then we had put up the guardrails. It actually is much more fine-tuned, and that is why this is the world's first open source vertical testing agent, because there are other agents, but they're not designed for testing. This one specifically is designed for testing because we strongly believe that it should be clinically accurate. And as a reason, we have also open sourced the evals for the agent. So if you go to the GitHub repo, we've also put up the evals, which we have used for certifying that it pretty much works. Okay. So that's about that slide. So, okay, the speedometer is the reason because you can drive fast, but if you drive too fast, it might get dangerous. Humans are innately dangerous. Okay, brings us to the end of the session. That's the QR code for the Slack community that we had promised. Hercules is open source. Join us, ask questions, play around. We are definitely looking for PRs and contribution from the community. One key belief for us is that humans and agents drive quality together. Okay, I'll pause here. Any questions? And I generally give out chocolates, so I also brought some chocolates. Yeah. Okay. We have 3 chocolates, but the questions can be unlimited. Yeah, go on, Sai. Yeah, please, ma'am here. Okay. Oh.
Yes.
Hi, Shreya this side.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to know that you have showed some script, right, that is
Yes.
generated. How it handles if anything got changed on the page. For example, if I say Salesforce, it I mean, release the patches in the every quarter, and it changed the entire fields and stuff
Yeah, yeah.
like that. So how it handled? Does it fetch the API of the Salesforce, or how it handles?
Yeah, see what it does is that, and that is was one of the reasons why we created Hercules, is we felt that every release, for example, winter 21, winter 23, things change quite a lot. APIs, for example, metadata API, tooling API, they are not omnipresent on the platform. For example, Community Cloud has very few APIs. To answer your question, what an agent should do and what Hercules does is that it senses the state of the application, right? I can quickly show you a diagram, and I think that will answer this question and maybe a few more. Give me 1 second. So basically, an agent is supposed to sense the state of the application. So this is the GitHub repo for TestZeus Hercules. Again, all open source as promised. Okay, I'm trying to find that one diagram which has the architecture. Okay, cool. I think everybody can see this, right? Okay. So see, the idea is that it actually senses the state of the UI. If anything is changed, it will get the DOM, think, okay, for this button, I should get this element. And then for that element, it will go ahead and do that action. So that sensing and reacting loop keeps on happening. So even if things changed on the fly, it updates the plan and then executes it. So that is why this requires no maintenance as far as we have seen in our evals, right? But does that answer the question?
Yeah,
If
it,
things
it does.
change, it will just update the plan and execute.
Yeah, it does. But I have another
Yeah,
follow-up
yeah,
question.
please.
Um, for example, we have a scenario that our test fails, and it meant to be failed. I don't want to, update that test case. For example, if the button is there, but there is a bug that the button is not there, and I don't want to update my test. I just want to create a bug. Does your tool automatically reheal that, or I mean, it follow the healing purpose, or does it ignore or ask the user that do you want to heal your script, or is it a bug that you found?
Okay, that's a very complicated question, but three things. First, it's not a tool, it's an agent. So I'm
Yeah, yeah,
hurt, but
fine.
okay, I'm just kidding, I'm not hurt. The other thing is that, see, if you should update the test case. If it is supposed to fail, please update the test case. Think of it as a junior tester, right? I join your team as a junior tester. You give me a test case, I'll run it. And I'll tell you, hey, this has failed, right?
Oh.
So if you say that then this thing should happen, it will infer that intent. Oh, yeah, this should happen. This is part of my plan now. So if you don't tell it, whether it is this or me, we won't know. And that is also the reason why we just push out the results to the user. Now, it will give you an HTML report. It is up to you how you want to log it into Jira. So that Jira tool can be added. We have not added for this reason. So that the human user can validate the result. And there is always a human in the loop at the center who does this whole orchestration. And then if they find that there's an issue, they'll go ahead and log it or avoid it. Yeah.
So it basically it creates and run the test. After that, you have to handle. Is it like that?
Have to. You should.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
have done the POC on Helenium. That is
Yes. Yeah.
so it basically heal. And I was delivering a talk in one of the conference, and somebody asked me that if I don't want to heal, then what should be the idea?
Yeah, see, that
In
is
that,
one key design principle. So this is a very opinionated project. There is a small section in the README which says opinions. One of the core opinions we have is that while we love Report Portal and Helenium project, tests should not be healed. If something is broken, it is broken. You either fix the test or you fix the code. You should give it an intent. We want to run these things. There is no healing in this because it takes the intent, breaks it down into a plan, and then executes it. If something has changed, right, you're supposed to click on the submit button. See, a lot of times, the only time when the breaking or healing is okay is when the HTML has changed somewhere. The button is there, it's still functional, right? Because of which your wrote automation scripts might break. But in this case, it is identifying that element on the fly, just like a human would identify on the fly. So there is no healing per se. Yeah.
And I'm so sorry,
Yeah,
just the
yeah.
last question.
Please.
Does it stores the data? I mean, you are fetching the DOM. And
Yes.
if some organization is having a security policy that they don't want to, expose their DOM or stuff like that, so do you guys store that
No,
data
no
as in
evil
like,
practices.
no?
uh, Sorry, I'll just come to sir. See, you can think of Hercules as a transparent pipe. You put in your OpenAI API key, it's your dealing. This will just do the operations. If you don't want to do that, so for example, we were talking to some healthcare giants in the US, they mentioned that we do not permit that. That is okay. You can bring in your own LLMs also. You can do a local deployment of Llama or Grok and then use it. So nothing is saved. This is just a transparent pipe in the middle. Yeah.
Thank you
Cool.
so much.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Thank
it
you.
from my
Yeah.
side.
Yeah. Please. Yeah.
When you say that, it's not storing any data, then how is it learning from the user?
Yeah. So, can you? Okay. I'll borrow seconds. Yeah. No pressure. Yeah, see, we don't store data. The idea is that we use data. So on the fly, it will look at chunks of HTML to find out the element, right? But then once that action is done, it will just purge that part. So it will take that action, make a note, okay, I found this button, I was able to click it, tick mark, and then move forward. So you can think of it as a stateless API. So it doesn't save anything, it just does the action over there.
Okay, but the learning curve.
See, interestingly, LLMs are pre-trained. So we don't do post-training fine-tuning. We can do that, but that's a commercial offering. The open source one is very stateless, so to say. Um, for Hercules itself, a lot of its training comes from post-training fine-tune instructions, which is basically as part of the prompts. We have highlighted that you should do these things, you should avoid these things. These are the kinds of HTMLs you will find, which are general HTMLs. Also in the evals folder, we have put up those tests so that self-feedback loop keeps on happening. But there is no training the model from your data. Also at this point, I don't think these need to be trained any further. They are good. Yeah. Yeah, Gunesh. We never got to size question, but okay. Sorry. Yeah.
You can go ahead.
Yeah.
Um, Sorry, I got a blank. Yeah. So you said you're pulling the DOM, right? So in that case, how do you deal with the page level permissions, user permissions? Because for that you need the credentials, or even for that matter, custom objects which are there. So how would this deal with? Because it is not part of the training basically, because my custom object is my custom object. So it doesn't know
Yeah.
before it's actually doing it.
Correct. Yeah. See, interestingly, what we have done is, okay, so there are two answers. So one is domain agnostic and one is domain specific. So for the domain agnostic answer, all of the web technologies are built using some core fundamental blocks, iframes, shadow DOMs, input boxes, divs, whatever. So we have just used that so that we identify the accessibility tree and then act on it. Okay. If a human cannot see it, if that site is not accessible, Hercules also will struggle. But I think that is a good thing. If humans are not able to see, it should also not be able to see. For the domain specific pieces, for example, on Salesforce, app launcher is a certain thing. So app launcher is something which you click and you launch the app and you find accounts or whatever, right? So those parts are there as part of instruction fine tuning. Okay. But yeah, I think we don't capture it to train it, as to earlier answer. The idea is that we infer it to act on it. Okay. Thank you, Ganesh. Yeah.
Okay, I have two questions.
Yes.
Before I go to the question, thanks for the tagline. I think that's very much needed for the hour.
Yeah, definitely. Sachin can help
so-
us with the chocolates.
So we were talking about in the flow in the diagram you showed, Robin. It said we use Gherkin format, right? I'm trying to just understand what was the rationale behind Hercules to go behind a Gherkin format.
Yeah, I think that's a question that only comes from wisdom. But okay, okay, where is that random Gherkin file somewhere? Okay, here, right? See, we'll take this as an example. Okay, I'm being shown boards, 5 minutes and 2 minutes, and then we'll just push you out. But okay, jokes aside, see, the reason for Gherkin was twofold. And then there is one technical joke also at the end, right? So first thing is that Gherkin is semi-structured. for both the humans and the LLM. Interestingly, English is only used by 37% of the people in the world. People are not good at asking questions and writing test cases. We wanted to bring them into a certain structure, right? So it is good for humans. So the input part. Also for the LLMs, when it has verbs or these words like then or when, it is a whole lot accurate for the LLM to infer the intent that this seems like an assert. I should take out the value of the last 2, 3 statements and then try to understand what the user is trying to test. So it is easier for the humans. We push them into a certain direction. It is easier for the LLMs. We push the LLM into a certain direction to get the test intent so that it is more statistically accurate. So that is why we went ahead with Gherkin. The technical joke is that it is not fine-tuned on Gherkin. Even if you just write English statements, it will still work. But then it will work based on the English the user writes. So that's why we just put it up as Gherkin. It still runs. If you just write, click on homepage, find app launcher, create a new lead, it will set up a plan, do its thing. But we wanted it to be more accurate. So that's why Gherkin. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, we actually tried this with Japanese and Kannada. I wrote my first Hindi Gherkin file in 15 years using Hercules. See, LLMs can translate, but intent is the problem. Then this thing should happen, or this is what I'm expecting. So that expected actual result part can easily be inferred when this is part of the input prompt, right? If I just write, create a lead and ensure that the lead is created. Now, ensure that the lead is created is very dicey. So it is a whole lot better if we write, then a lead should be created with the lead ID. So it is more deterministic, not probabilistic. Yeah. Yeah. Can be. See, yeah. Yeah. Also, fun history parts. Interestingly, LLMs were invented for language translation. So using this helps, but LLMs innately can do multilingua. Yeah. Sorry.
Sorry.
What are the testing types does it support? Performance, security, UI, visibility?
We tried functional testing. Last night we tried security testing. API testing is something we tried. DB testing. So mostly functional is what we covered. Some part security is what we covered and we talked about for the also. Can it do mobile testing? Can it do TV testing? Those are all tools. Attaching the tool to an agent is the 10% work. 90% work is done. So there are resources on the website where you can also build tools and attach tools.
Sorry, Robin, last question, right?
Yes.
So when you said agents, we can attach tools to the agents, right?
Yes.
So does this agent, let's say if there's an X tool that I come up and say, hey, probably, can we attach this to Hercules, right? Would Hercules look at a specific schema contract to embed with that tool?
Yeah. See, interestingly, that tool should have a certain decorator which says that this is a tool. And then that decorator is just told to Hercules that, hey, dude, you have access to this one more tool as well, right? Think about it when you're running the test case. So the schema has, at a high level, just 2 main parts, or maybe 3. So one is the actual Python execution for that tool, right? You want to do a performance testing or mobile testing. So that is the actual Python implementation. Second is the decorator, which says this is a tool. And then third is the prompt of how to use the tool. Just like if you give me a mic, I've never seen a mic before. You need to tell me, Robin, you need to hold it like this. And so as long as you tell that to Hercules, that you have to use the tool like this with this prompt, at runtime, it can decide what is the tool and then go ahead and use it. Yeah, so it's pretty loose in that way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Currently, I'm doing mobile apps testing, especially using XUI for iOS apps. So in that case, actually, I use a dev code. So in a dev repository, I will create a separate target for that, and I will run my test cases. So this tool will be helpful for me.
Yeah, people.
So I can integrate that.
Yeah, you can. Again, I'll push. It's not a tool, but okay.
Agent.
The agent. See, you can. We have the masters of the mobile world with Sai over here. Um, the idea is that you can attach that as a tool, and then as part of the decorator, you can say that this tool is for this purpose. You can highlight that prompt, and then when you give that feature test file to Hercules, it will use that tool for execution. So on the fly, it will decide from based on the Gherkin file that I need to use this one thing, go ahead, use it, and then complete the execution. Did I answer that, or I like gave some random answer?
Yeah, somewhat it's answered.
Some 30%. No? Okay.
Because I have some restriction, like it's a XUI is a completely white box. So I use a code. So there is some
Okay.
restriction here. So there is some restriction wherever there is no accessibility identifier is not there. I will go and update directly. So it's
Oh, okay.
yeah, that's
See,
the thing.
Okay, so if we have to solve that problem, would love to whiteboard the answer with you. But see, one is that Hercules infers the accessibility tree. So on the fly, it first generates a proper accessibility tree for the whole thing, then
Because
inserts IDs everywhere,
because
and then
this while
uses it.
developing they will miss the
Yeah,
XUI
yeah,
identifiers. Those are things.
yeah.
So we are finding it out, and it's giving a like coverage report also.
Yeah.
XUI. So in that case, so how it will like we need to train this agent or
Yeah, see, no, there is no training. All the training has been done.
yes.
What you might need to do is first give it those tools to access XUI tests. Second is if some parts accessibility is missed, no problem. It actually generates accessibility tree and then injects it on the fly and then adds IDs so that it can identify what is the button, what are the labels, whatever. What might need to be done is some updates to the prompts that you will be accessing the XUI application, which should be done in this fashion, which goes as part, some parts tools, some parts system prompt, but no training. Interestingly, prompts were the first PR we got from Japan. So the direction that we see for Hercules is that there will be no tuning, fine tuning, data capturing, stealing. The updates will happen to mostly the prompts. Yeah. Okay.
And the other part, like when our app is made for RTL, so that
RTL.
yes,
Okay. I don't know RTL.
left to right to left.
Okay. Cool. Right to left.
So in that case also, like it's like a translation, nothing but
Okay. So Japanese, like those kind of things, like you read right to left.
Hebrew and
Hebrew. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
those kind of things.
Yeah, yeah. See, interestingly, LLMs are already fine-tuned and trained on multiple language data sets. So that is innately built into the whole mechanism. No further things need to be done unless there is a local dialect. So for example, Hindi, so I'm from Kanpur. Hindi has a certain local dialect in Kanpur, which only people from Kanpur will know. So only that last 1% would be left. But apart from that, 99%, if that language is popular and public, OpenAI, other LLM providers have already done the hard work. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, thank you. I think we are on time. I think we cannot take more question. I think if you have any question, you can ask during, during the networking time. Okay. So thank you, Robin. You can give the chocolates. It's up to you. We have two more. You can. It's up to you. Thank you, Robin, for the great talk. I think it was a great learning for our audience. I'm sure. I think we are fulfilling whatever they are come for, for learning something new.